Hello there, I'm Griffin D, and in this video we are covering Redditors who are married to someone with an identical twin. What are your feelings towards that twin? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. My boyfriend's twin is like a brother to me. It's nice to be able to talk to him when I'm concerned about since he knows how he thinks. When his twin says I have nothing to worry about, I know there isn't. I'm an identical twin, and the day me and my husband are getting married, my mother says to me, "Hey, did you know in high school that husband really had the hots for my twin sister?" Weird. How apparently, he had told my mother this in confidence when he went and bought my wedding present, and she felt the need to tell me this on my wedding day. I bring it up constantly now, because it crushed me on my wedding day, and now I find it hilarious. I'm married to an identical twin. I always say I married the hot one. There are more personality differences than you'd think. I married an identical twin. They have a very similar personality, so I get along with my wife's twin very well. When her twin comes to visit, they will exchange clothes sometimes. I saw my wife come out and go back to the room, then saw my wife's twin come out with a different outfit. Thought it was my wife. She went back in another time and changed shirts again. I was getting annoyed, because I figured it was my wife changing for the third time. Nope, just the twin trying on two shirts. When we got married, my mum was helping my wife put together her bouquet of flowers. She had to get her makeup done, so she left the room and my wife's twin stepped in without missing a beat. My mum went on to have a 20-minute heart-to-heart with who she thought was her future daughter-in-law. I finally overheard something and told my mum it was her twin. Poor mum. Not married, but an ex-relationship. Let's call the twins Chad and Charles. I had maybe one class with the Charles, and we never spoke. Then I started to have classes with the Chad, and we were inseparable. He wasn't only my boyfriend, but also my best friend. Anyways, he broke up with me out of nowhere. Every time I saw him after that, he would act like a supreme arsehole towards me. I never knew what I did to deserve that, but it hurt a lot. When high school ended, Chad went to an out-of-state college, and Charles ended up going to the same college as me. Fast forward to the first day of sophomore year of college. Charles and I had the same class together. It's a huge lecture hall. He could sit wherever he wants, but he chooses to sit next to me. I didn't even notice until he said hi to me. I just responded hey back. Then he proceeded to apologize for being mean to me in high school. I was super confused, but I figured he felt bad that he stopped talking to me after Chad and I broke up. I said, "Oh, don't worry about that. It was so long ago. If anything, it's your brother who should apologize." "My brother?" he asked. "Yeah, Chad was such a dong after we broke up." Seriously? Frick that guy. Now, I knew that I was saying this to his brother, but the two of them weren't that close. I doubted that he would ever tell Chad that I said that. Even if he did, I wouldn't have cared. Charles just responded with, "Oh right, Chad." Then, class began. We started taking notes. Charles was writing with his left hand. I thought it was odd and told him, "Wait, I never knew you were left-handed too." I thought it was just Chad. He just gave me a little nod, and we went back to taking notes. Because I can be kind of slow sometimes, things didn't click in my brain until after class. I rushed to Facebook and looked at Chad's profile. He had just transferred to the same college as me. I was talking to him the entire time. Married to an identical twin? It's funny, I met my husband on Tinder, and both him and his twin had profiles. I often think, what if I would have swiped right on his twin first? It most definitely wouldn't have worked. Not because I dislike my husband's twin, but because our personalities simply don't click that way. Regardless, I have a very close relationship with my husband's twin. I think of him as my protector, and I hope he thinks the same of me. When he moved to our town for a job, he actually lived with us for 6 months. Despite the fact that my husband and I were newly married, I look back on that time very fondly. We grew really close. I feel very lucky to have such a great relationship with him. My dad is an identical twin, so I have an uncle dad. That's weird to type and say out loud. Married to an identical twin going on 8 years. When I first found out, I thought it would be wacky and entertaining like a movie, but it sucks ass. Her twin is a psycho and one of the worst people I've ever met. She wants to be the alpha twin. They are so competitive about everything. I have a friend who's married to an identical triplet. One time he was visiting his sil and she asked him to leave the room, because she was going to nurse her baby. His reply: "I've already seen everything you have, so no need for me to leave." The Sil wasn't too happy with that response. I'm not identical, but I am a triplet where my brother and I look very similar. All of my brother's ex-GFs bond with me afterwards, even if we didn't like each other before. I think it's because we both know that my brother's a complete arsehole. I'm an identical twin. My twin is dead. Wife has no feelings as far as I can tell. I dated a twin. Her sister's boyfriend had the same car as me. Not much of anything. He's my brother-in-law, and honestly, they look less alike than some fraternal twins I know. They have very different personalities, and his brother is totally not my type. That didn't stop me from asking some curious questions though. If we were to find my husband was infertile, would he agree to using his brother as a donor? Not in the out of sex with him way, because it's literally the exact same DNA. Hubby said definitely no. If we have kids, and he has kids, they're cousins. But are they also technically half-siblings? Since they're half-identical DNA, half other mothers. Hubby called me weird. I think these are legitimate questions. I am married to one of inseparable identical twins. My wife and her sister are two peas in a pod and extremely dependent on each other. I knew when I married one I was marrying half of the other one too. But I love my wife so much, including her sister in the picture too. My wife's sister is always at our place as much as my wife is at her sister's place. We do have a good dynamic, understanding about the relationships, and we have no boundaries broken. Way late to the party, but I know a woman whose husband cheated on her with her identical twin, then got her twin pregnant, divorced her and married her twin. I guess you could say he liked her better. Thanksgivings just don't happen anymore. I'm one of triplets, 2 girls and a boy. My sister and I are identical, but our brother doesn't look anything like us. Most people don't believe us when we tell them who our brother is. We're not married, but my boyfriend also has a twin brother. They look a lot alike, but it was easy telling them apart early on. My boyfriend is more social and relaxed with people, while his brother is more introverted and sometimes even socially awkward. Because I myself have a twin, it's not weird to me, so I treat his brother the same way, as if they weren't twins. My husband is an identical twin. It's weird, because sometimes, especially when walking around or doing something, I really have to watch out not to mix them up. Then, when sitting down or whenever it is absolutely clear who is who, I find the twin looks nothing like my husband and I find him kind of unattractive. I am an identical twin, and all my brother's ex-GFs always distanced themselves from me even if we were friends prior to them dating. But his current girlfriend and I are very close. I really hope they get married. They have my seal of approval. Not quite what you are asking, but I dated a twin in high school. We were both very reserved, quiet people. His twin brother was much more outgoing and happened to have a girlfriend that looked a lot like me. Same hair color and build, at least. They would make out everywhere with absolutely no shame. One day my boyfriend and I got pulled into the principal's office to talk about our inappropriate behavior at school. It was humiliating. When we're finally able to stammer through our explanation that no, you've got the wrong couple, the principal was very kind about it and we had a good laugh, but I'm sure I was tomato red for the whole conversation. I'm a twin, but despite being identical we don't really look alike. I had some birth defects that stunted my growth, and she's 6 inches taller. My husband was friends with my sister before we started dating. They met while doing a play together, and we didn't meet until a few months later. They actually played a couple and had kissing scenes, so he's one of probably few people who can say he's kissed twins. While he thinks my sister looks nice, and she is objectively pretty, he's never been attracted to her. My husband was born with a mostly absorbed identical twin. The doctors removed it and all he has is a tiny scar. But I shit you not, he has 2 personalities. Sometimes I think that half of his brain is one twin and the other half is the other. He also refers to himself as we a lot without much thought. Okay, story time. I met a guy on a dating app. We'll call him T. We talked for a bit and then met up at a bar for a few drinks. As far as dates go, it was pretty awkward. T was pretty cute, but he was a bit of a disaster. At one point he mentioned he had a brother who he thought I'd get along with pretty well, and I, jokingly, asked him for his brother's number. The date was going terribly. What did I have to lose? He didn't give me the number. The date ended. We went our separate ways. Then, months later, I meet another guy through the same dating app. We start talking, come to find out, he is T's brother. Not just any brother, he is his identical twin. We hit it off. His personality is basically the opposite of T's. We're still together today. Life is weird. I dated twin brothers in 6th grade. One asked me out one day and then the other asked me out later that week. I didn't realize what a boyfriend was then. I also didn't realize you can't have two at the same time even if they are twins. They were both arrested for hate crimes as adults. I guess I dodged 2 bullets. Person shrugging. I'm married to an identical twin. They are very dependent of each other, but fight like you wouldn't believe. I have tons of funny stories, because I lived with both of them for a little while. When they get angry, they kinda black out and call each other nasty stuff that makes no sense. For example, they will call each other ugly cows. They are 100% identical. Also, they both sleepwalk a lot. Like every night, I woke up once to my wife, then girlfriend, putting her rollerblades on at night while her sister was walking around the apartment with a stove atop like a tray and a wooden spoon. She was dreaming of being a waitress, I guess. I just went back to bed. Also, you know that scene in Paranormal Activity where the wife stands by the bed staring at her husband for hours? Yep, that's just a Tuesday for me. As for my feelings toward her twin, she's like a sister only, nothing more. My sister-in-law is married to an identical twin. The only noticeable difference between the two is the twin stands up straighter. From what I understand, she is incredibly attracted to the twin, obviously, right, and doesn't allow herself to be drunk around him. It causes me anxiety to think about that. My auntie lost her husband and father of her child in the war. She married his twin brother afterwards. Not married, but my girlfriend has an identical twin and she is her complete polar opposite and a giant cunt. I always tell her it's easy to know which of them is the evil twin. I love my husband's twin like he's my brother too. He even calls me sis. They look so different that I haven't had any and conflicting feelings, and would never mistake them unless their backs were turned to me. My husband wears his hair a little longer and is clean shaven, and is typically dressed for the office. His brother keeps his hair buzzed short and wears a long beard, and dresses to work outside. Not married, but I'm in a long-term relationship with an identical twin, and as far as I know, I'm the only person who has kissed both of them. I actually was friends with both twins 4 years before I started dating one of them. I met my current boyfriend first and had a huge crush on him, but he was very reserved and hard to get close to. When I met his twin, I had a small crush on him, just because he reminded me of my crush, but was more outgoing and easier to befriend. His twin is super flirty too, and ended up kissing me while I was working at a kissing booth at a weird Valentine's Day party. That ended up being slightly awkward when my boyfriend and I finally got together after 4 years of friendship, but he knows about it and doesn't really care. And now that I've got the real thing, I don't have any attraction to his brother and just see him as a good friend. Sure, he's got the same facial structure and mannerisms as my boyfriend, but they have very different styles. The twin is a cool guy and cute enough, but my boyfriend has been through hardships that his twin has not, and he's developed a unique depth of character and humility from his experiences that makes him a very sexy, magnetic person. My husband is actually a triplet. His brother is okay. Hey, on my nerves. Their personalities are completely different. His sister is cool, but I don't see that going anywhere either. I started dating a twin. When my roommate met her, he joked she's hot. Does she have a twin? So I introduced them and they started dating. My roommate and my wife's twin got married 2 years before my wife and I got married, so now at family gatherings, it's me and my old roommate hanging out with our twin wives. Please subscribe if you like the video. It really helps the channel to grow. Adios.